I'm Jack from Options Insight, and welcome to Trading 101. So, in recent times, governments around the world have criticized Bitcoin, saying it uses a staggering amount of power. Now, especially as we're seeing an energy crunch in many parts of the world. Influential people, by the likes of Elon Musk, have even temporarily paused the ability to purchase Teslas with Bitcoin over concerns of too much fossil fuels being used. But is Bitcoin really that bad for the environment?
So let's start with what the haters say. The Bitcoin is anti-ESG narrative. There are no two ways about it. Bitcoin mining requires a lot of energy due to the sheer computational power needed to solve the complex mathematical problems which grant Bitcoin rewards to the miners. These miners must run energy-intensive computers all around the world every day to verify and add transactions to the blockchain. This process is known as a proof of work and is how Bitcoins are mined into existence. Please check out my most recent video on what Bitcoin is and how it works for more information. The network is based on the concept of the more energy used, then the better your chance of earning the rewards will be, encouraging people to use more and more electricity in a scramble for miners to obtain as many coins as possible. If you look at Bitcoin in black and white terms, for critics, it really could just be described as solving pointlessly complex math problems that gives you a piece of intangible internet money which isn't really worth anything and consumes more energy than some small countries like Sweden and Poland. So how much energy does Bitcoin mining actually use? If we take a look at this chart here, it shows us the amount of energy Bitcoin mining consumes in a year, with the likes of Austria and Colombia, which aren't necessarily small countries, consuming less energy than the global effort of mining Bitcoins. At first glance, this seems quite alarming, but what must be stressed is that this is a global effort, with Bitcoin only consuming 140 terawatts of energy per year. If you put that into perspective, the world consumes 170,000 terawatts of energy a year, leaving Bitcoin making up just 0.1% of that total. With the likes of Amazon, Facebook, and Google estimated to consume 120 terawatts of energy a year due to the amount of people that spend all their time playing video games and sitting on social media, could we then justify this new, transformational technology and monetary system that provides purchasing power, protection, and the ability to transact in a peer-to-peer capacity without relying on a centralized third party for any member of the global population? After all, 20% of the world population do not have access to banking and financial services, and Bitcoin consumes less than half of the amount of energy that is used to run the current global banking system, which sits at 238 terawatts of energy per year. When looking at the energy that Bitcoin mining uses, it's also important to distinguish between actual energy consumption and carbon footprint. Now, there's no denying that Bitcoin uses a hefty amount of energy, but not all of that energy has negative environmental impacts. In fact, sustainable energy sources, such as hydroelectric, wind, and solar, make up 91% of its total consumption. So, could Bitcoin mining actually help push for more alternative energy sources? In 2021, El Salvador was the first country to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender. Aware of the environmental concern that's associated with mining the coins, they have focused their efforts on building an entire mining city at the base of a volcano in order to benefit from the abundant geothermal energy. This example shows that the appetite for energy is around the clock, with a strong financial incentive can actually motivate investment into more infrastructure that is ultimately needed to achieve our low carbon emissions goal. Countries like China, which use a lot of coal energy, have ended up banning Bitcoin and forced the network to migrate towards other parts of the world, where cheaper alternative sources of energy are more available. Another reason to not be overly concerned with the environmental impact of Bitcoin is due to the fact that the Bitcoin reward halves every 4 years, meaning it's effectively getting harder and harder for new mining groups to establish themselves, thus resulting in miners having to shift to more efficient and cheaper sources of energy in order to maintain their profit margins. Sustainability, therefore, will need to be a priority for these companies if they want to stay in business. Due to the capped 21 million supply of Bitcoin and already mined 90% of coins, it is estimated that it will take another 120 years for the total supply to be completely mined. With that being said, as Bitcoin supply decreases and once everything is mined, the question is, will miners focus their efforts on transaction fees rather than block rewards, and will this have an effect on Bitcoin's energy consumption?
So, what are some alternatives? The final point I would like to make, and the topic of my upcoming video, is that whilst we might be able to justify the energy used in proof of work mining to secure the network and the positive societal impact and relative usage, the issues raised regarding Bitcoin's proof of work energy consumption could potentially lead to a proof of stake system, which other layer 1 projects like Ethereum are beginning to explore. Thank you for watching this video about the environmental impact of Bitcoin. I hope you enjoyed and learned something valuable. If so, please don't forget to subscribe and like. Also, please comment with any questions or feedback on what other topics you'd like me to cover next. I'm Jack, and this has been Trading 101.